It's my birthday, friends all around. I should feel lucky. But I looked at my phone and seen that Gary Nolan blocked me. What the hell? How does he even know about me? The cake comes out, everyone is smiling. I know I should be happy too, but I'm dying. I'm fucking dying. 'Cause Gary Nolan blocks me. The world is crumbling all around me. I wanted Gary to tell me why he shared Chris Bartell's brain scans on TV. It's my birthday, friends all around. I should feel lucky. But I looked at my phone and seen that Gary Nolan blocked me. What the hell? How does he even know about me? The cake comes out, everyone is smiling. I know I should be happy too, but I'm dying.
What is going on? Welcome. I'm doing this to give you guys a tutorial. So if you're just tuning in, I wanted everyone who has early access to the website, the UFO Timeline project, I want you guys to have it, an instruction on what the features are and how to use them. And so that's what we're going to go over today. It's not going to be a long video because I want it to be fast, so we'll just kind of skip right to it. All right. So here we go. When you log into the timeline, you're going to be greeted with this option here, right? And this is going to be for everyone who comes in. And this might change, it might improve, but you can donate or you can just simply click here. And now you're in the site. And so it's a lot to look at first. So we're going to go over the features, all right? This here, this area, this is what I refer to as the timeline, okay? On the left, you have categories. And these categories can be activated or deactivated with the click of a button, right? You just click and unclick, and when you do, there'll be a delay, and then the sightings and the events kind of come in. So if you are concerned, right, that you didn't see the things come in, just have a little patience, and it'll show up. There's just a delay, and we'll get to that, right? So that's that. And when the events or the categories are unselected, it changes the donut chart down here. The donut chart will always reflect how many cases are present on the screen. I find that to be useful. So look down here, you'll see it change. Boom, we're back up to 111, all right? These are the events, right? The events are on the timeline. Now you run the mouse over, it should do two things. Number one, it affects the animation, so you know that you're on something. And then if you hover over, you'll see a drop down, kind of a hover thing. And this gives you a little bit more information at a glance. Now, if you select an event, right, then the information appears here in the case name, the date, and the location. All right. The summary area is right here. Now you get a summary of the information of the event itself with the behavior, the craft, and the witness. Don't become too married to these two extra pieces of information, as they will change when I develop this area a little bit more. Up here, you're going to see this is where I normally would put the craft type. I have it represented as graphic. So if you see the word other, it just means that I haven't slid in a placeholder for this particular thing. Some cases have the craft, right? Some cases have them. That represents a saucer. Okay, and you can determine that too in the sighting itself, and in the summary it will tell you disc-shaped craft right there. Boom. So look out for that. That'll be improving as we go. So that's what this summary box is, right? You have an upvote and a downvote. That can be on the case itself. You can choose to upvote or downvote, like or dislike, under any of your own criteria. But here's how I'm going to use it. It's going to help me to determine what cases people really enjoy and what might want to find out later what it is, or more information. And then dislike, that could be for anything, but it's going to cause me, for cases that have achieved a certain number of dislikes, it's going to cause me to take a second look at it and figure out why, right? Deep dive button is right here, and that deep dive button gets you into the extra information that we have per case. Boom. So you'll be, if you want to look at more information from images to videos, right, to different reports, this is where you're going to find them. Okay, and the reports are just PDFs of the thing. As you can see, Black Vault, we got to give a lot of credit to Black Vault and John Greenwald for establishing this FOIA system and putting this information online for everyone to use. Seriously, shout out, right? And so that's what this area is. There's typically going to be a title for the type of PDF file that it is, and then the same thing goes for, you know, other things, right? The videos will be here. As you can see, this is a misplaced video. It's a placeholder, but I just needed to test it out. And then we have images. This is self-explanatory. Again, some cases have deep dive content, some don't yet, but all will eventually. This area right here is the globe. The globe can be grabbed and spun around and zoomed in and out at any time. You'll be able to do that at any time. The dots are reflective of the events. So if you select an event here, Farmington, you get all the information here. Yeah. So if you also turn off abductions, it actually removes them from the list. And that goes for anything. Anything you remove removes it from the globe as well. That gives you a lot of, like, I guess, kind of accuracy and trust in what you're seeing, right? And then over here, this is the toggle section. And so the toggle section, of course, will be added to, but for now, here's how you use it. As you can see, all cases are present. And if I wanted to reduce that number to just the cases that involve a saucer, I can simply just click the button. Now, all the cases are removed except for cases with saucers. And if you zoom in, you might find more. Okay, we'll go over what the zoom in and zoom out does in just a second. But now you know there's 40 cases with saucers. Well, you can add to that list. Like, you can see which ones also have orbs. All right, now we're at 48, and the new cases that have orbs have appeared. If you want to turn off saucer or orb, just click it again. Now you're in a section where you can only see the orbs. And it's just kind of intuitive that way, right? You can just keep adding and adding, and now you know what you're seeing is what's highlighted here. Very easy to activate, deactivate. The same thing goes for the entity type. All the toggle switches have the same function, so it should be fairly easy to navigate. You can, of course, stack them, so you can have grays and saucers, right? And obviously the numbers are going to shrink because you're narrowing down your search, okay? And speaking of search, let's get to that next. This is the search bar. In the search bar, you can search under anything you want for the events. If you wanted to look up 1950, you could, but I don't recommend it because it's not very narrow. Here in the search, you can type in crash, and all the crashes come up. You could type in pilot, and all the events that include pilot sightings or pilots within the description are there, okay? You can type in Roswell for a very quick, like, let's get over to Roswell. Okay, there we go. Obviously, Roswell was mentioned in this case somewhere. That's why it came up in the search. So this is a very broad search. You can search for any little thing you want to, and that's great. And then this area I've changed into more searches. So this is very useful. This is called the selected event display. And on this display, you can obviously see that if you go to a case, then it presents all the information that you need. Name, date, and the location. I happen to pick two cases that have very long locations, and they bled over. Either way, here we go. For this, you can search in the event name here. Just click it, and now it becomes a search field, okay? So here, I could type in Travis Walton. Travis Walton shows up, right? I didn't have to get that far. It's a live search. So any case name, if you know about Pascagoula, but you can't find it in the thing, boom, Pascagoula, all right? Then the date. The date function, I think, is really interesting. I'm very proud of the date function. It lets you search by any date, but I'm going to give examples given the year, okay? So let's go to 1974. Whoops, I put in 174. 1974, my apologies. Okay, I get the whole year spread out from this end of the timeline all the way to the far end of the timeline. This represents the year. Now, if I wanted to look up 1970, it gives me the year 1970, but I included something interesting. If you want to look up the entire decade, of 1970s, just write an S in. 1970s. Now I get the decade. And that goes for anything. 1980s. Boom, the 80s. This is going to help with quick searches. Also, if you wanted to go far back in time, 1561, right? We know what happened in 1561. It's the Nuremberg air battle. Okay, pretty sick. But scrolling over there is a serious issue, right? It's a big scroll. So that's why this is really helpful. That's my opinion. Very helpful to have a date selector right here. Let's go to 1999. Let's go to 1990s, actually. Okay. So there's that. Location, it functions the same way, all right? If you want to type in Africa, we get some African cases. That's from South Africa. Continents, not so much. Countries, yes. Countries like China. Boom. That's great. What about Russia? Boom. Really good. What about Antarctica? Ooh, we're already there. Operation High Jump. What's up? So that's how this search works. America. It's just designed to give you a very quick way of navigating these events and whatnot, right? So very important. Very, very important. Now let's get into this timeline, okay? The timeline is fascinating to me because I have it built on hierarchies. Obviously, they are events arranged with the corresponding row for their category and also the vertical lines depicting the date that they happened in. Again, if it's too much to look at, you can always just narrow your own search down, remove the things you're not looking for. If you're looking for specific patterns or correlations, then just remove the things that don't fit that bill. And you can now see a little bit more clear the timeline. Now, there's another element to the timeline that allows you to enhance your search, which is just zooming in. The more you zoom in, the more appears. You'll see it. You'll see cases appear. Why are cases appearing and disappearing? The reason is because I don't want the timeline to be super crowded, so I needed to give hierarchy to certain cases. The reason why they disappear and appear is because each one of them has what I call a credibility and a notoriety scale. And the combination of those two numbers, right, the scale in which I credited it, how notable it is, how historic it is, and how credible it is, that determines if it's visible. This means that when you're all the way zoomed out, the cases that you're seeing already are the most, what I would call, credible and important. You might disagree with my rating on that, and that's why the community is going to always be open for you to vote, right? You can vote. Go down here. Let me know. Leave a comment. Let me know. Account holders will be able to do that. I don't know if I'll call it subscribers or what, but people who really want to help participate in the site are going to help refine that aspect to it. Now, if you zoom in and they start to appear, now you're just in the more granular, research, and you can really see more cases, and they keep on coming because some cases are very close together, right? And that's why some cases appear, disappear, and that's the value of zooming in and out, depending on what kind of research you're doing. So you can click these. Again, they animate when you run your mouse over them, very smooth. But sometimes there's this little thing that happens. If the mouse is on the edge of it, there's a little deal. Have you see that? Don't be alarmed. That can happen. And it's not a big deal, right? Then I want to introduce you guys to something else. Another button that you might see, high contrast. So high contrast is a toggle between two visual modes, basically color schemes. Let's see what happens. All right. So it changed the color scheme of the site, and it allows for much easier, I think, ability to see the cases and then to determine what you're looking at. So that's why I like it. Even on the map, it's a little bit easier to see all these different events, right? And some people might have a color vision issue, and I think this might help out with it. I am going to incorporate an actual, scientific colorblind mode for people who are visually impaired in terms of their color blindness or whatever, to help them. And so that'll be a separate mode for that. But for now, you can toggle between regular and high contrast mode. That's what that button does. That's why it's there. Now, this area right here, this is an advertising block. That's all that is. I wanted to create an advertising area for UFO related things that wasn't really ugly or a picture of athletic greens or something. So that's what that is. And it cycles through. And as you're using it, advertisers might come in, and this might change. But what it is it's a button. You click it while that thing is on there, and it will take you to the link provided. And it won't reset your browser. It'll open up a new tab. So if you click this at any time to look at what's being advertised, it'll take you to that area. So that's what that is. For the most part, early access guys can kind of ignore that, and that's totally fine. But that's what that is if you were looking at it and you were confused. As far as other features go, that's pretty much it. That's what we have on the site right now. We have our categories. We have our timeline. We have our information right here. We have summary box right here. This is voting. This, of course, is the time in which the event happened. And this is your deep dive button. Some cases have them, some cases don't yet, but that's what that is. The globe, free to spin, free to zoom. If the globe gets off-centered, and this is something I'm working on right now, but if the globe gets off-centered because you zoomed into the side and you zoom out and you notice that it didn't zoom back in, see how it's already cutting off? This can get very extreme. Okay, this can get very extreme somehow. I'm trying to figure it out. But if it does, you can just resize your window, grab the corner of your window, and then move it a little bit, adjust it, and it'll recenter. It's a glitch I'm working on now. I just want you guys to know that if the globe gets off-centered, then it's totally fine. That's about it. That's about it. We got indicator lights right there to tell you that the thing is on or off. And this is a little hidden gem of a feature I'm going to show you guys before I roll out of here. And that's if you click the decades, it has that same function of expanding the decades. It's not the same for every year, okay? It's not the same for every year, just the years ending in 0, the decades. And I think that that's great. So that's one more thing that isn't intuitive about the site that you can see. You click the decade, and then you get that decade expanded in the timeline. And it's the same feature here. If I typed in 1950s, 1950, 1950s, boom. So, I really want this middle part to be the main navigator along with this search thing here, but grabbing and dragging is always good to go. That experience is always going to be kind of key for me to make sure it's always functioning. As you'll see, some lines are going in front of the cases. That's a glitch I'm going to be fixing soon, so don't be concerned about that. And yeah, everything else should be working just fine. If you're an early access user and you find yourself missing things like this, like the information in these boxes, let me know. If your screen doesn't look like my screen, then that's a cause for concern for me. So give me an email, give me a DM, and I will figure out what's going on, and then we'll refine the site together at that point. I want to thank all my early access people for reaching out and asking for early access and trusting the project and helping me solve these issues. I'm really thankful for that. But yeah, if you have any other questions, DM me. This is a basic rundown of how the site works and how the functions work. And so I hope this is helpful. I'm going to be directing all of the early access users to this video so they can see how to function if they're in there exploring themselves. If you want early access, you can go to the website and you can apply for it. Just send a DM through it. Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I forgot. I have not noticed all these messages. So let me catch up on this real fast. And if you're watching this for the tutorial period, that's over. The tutorial is good. For now, that's what we get. As more features are added, I will be creating more videos to introduce you guys to those features, okay? But for now, let's get to these comments. We got Plasma, Armelund. Dude, sup, Tuba? What is going on? When is the VR version coming? That would actually be really fun. I have plans for that. Actually. Meta, Psychotronic, good to see you. Oh, Birdie's in the mix. What's up, Heather? This was a prompt impromptu little thing. But yes, the VR timeline would be amazing. Jesus wept. I see Sheila O'Toole. Good to see you, Sheila. Good to see you. Oh, you just got here. That's all good. Yeah, I'm glad you finally caught a live stream, Sheila. Sheila is a Patreon member. For everyone, there is a Patreon. You can go to the UFO Timeline on Patreon, and you can help support the project. You can also pick up a shirt from tupacabra.com. That's tupa-cabra.com. Or you can just donate whatever you want to the Cash App. That's Tupacabra UFO. Check that out. But my Patreon homies are always getting love over here, always. So, Sheila, I'm going to give you one last little rundown of what this is and how this works. And then you guys can, take it for what you will. We got ourselves a UFO timeline. This is the timeline. You can zoom in and zoom out. And as you zoom in, more cases appear that couldn't fit in the, visually in the site when you were all the way zoomed out. The most important cases to history stay on the screen, and the ones that are a little less for this or that reason will fade away, right? So as you zoom in, more cases show up, but those cases are historically less significant, and that's why they go away when you zoom all the way out. You can turn on and off every category to decide how you want to do your research, what's relevant to you, and what's relevant to your goal here, right? So that's a really cool feature. Then you got, these are search fields. So you can search by case name. I always search up Travis. I don't know why. I think it's because it works, and I know it'll always work right there. If you want to look up the dates, you go 1945. Okay, there's some cases there. 1940, 1940s, the whole decade, baby. There it is. There it is. And location, you can search by location. Just type in Texas. There it is. Type in China. There it is. Good to go. Search for any general term right here. This is your summary box with all your information. Craft types appear right here in a shape. You can upvote or downvote the case based on whatever you want. And then some cases allow you to deep dive. Some cases just allow you to deep dive. And I think that's great. So what happened to this? What happened to China? So China. Go to China. Click this guy. Now we're in here. Is there a deep dive in here? Oh, look. So this, if you're looking for more information per case, the deep dive button is what you want to do, right? And anything I can find, anything our team can find, we put in here and make sure that people have a chance to check out all the stuff and get a very well-rounded idea about the case without having to leave the site, right? Because that's one of the things that's a problem, I think, with UFO research is you have to have like 35 different windows open just to find out everything you can about one case. Hopefully this centralizes it for everyone. And that's, it's a solid move. And so that's the deep dive button. This is the like and dislike button. The globe is free to spin, free to manipulate, free to zoom in, free to zoom out. As you zoom in, these dots get a little bit smaller, right? And as you zoom out, they get a little bit bigger. So that way you can get granular with it, right? Granular, it's a key on this thing. Okay, so then we have these things called toggles. So you can turn off everything except for the saucers. You're basically identifying what cases have the button you just clicked. Tic-tac. Well, we got one tic-tac case. That's the Nimitz. All right, we'll turn that off. Back up to 111. It's always reflected in the donut chart. The donut chart gives you a rundown of how the events are split up amongst the categories. If you hover over the donut chart, it will tell you, right? It will tell you. Although this is fun. Triangle, look at all the triangles. Triangles with grays? Not a lot. Okay, sorry. Saucers with grays? 7. So when you stack different types of toggles, you're narrowing your search. You're narrowing it. So let's say someone came to you and said, listen, I have an experience I need to talk to you about, or I know of a case I want to talk to you about. It happened in, let's say it happened in the 80s, or then let's say the 70s. Okay, well, let's go to 1970s. Cool. Let's say it was a saucer, and let's say there was a gray involved. Well, wouldn't you know it, we just narrowed down by finding all these different details from the decade, the craft type, and the being type. It could only be one case. Holloman Air Force Base. Now, the more cases that we enter in here, of course, the options are going to become a lot less narrowed, right? We're going to have more, and that's fine. That's the way it should be. But looking at 1 or 10 cases versus 111 is really helpful, right? Because a lot of people are doing quick research. Let's say you're on a podcast or you're on a Twitter Spaces or you're having a conversation about UFOs and you want to grab information quick and kind of talk about it quick. This is the fastest way I've found. Okay, it's just the fastest way. And that's it. So you guys got 2 little tutorials in here. I might edit this and chop it down to make it like the best parts. But for now, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. Again, this is for the early users. And of course, we got high contrast mode, which I'll always love. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we will be on Twitter and a Spaces talking about the UFO timeline. I'm going to be helping more people on board to the early access. And we are looking forward to a possible September launch of the website. I almost said of the West Side. You can't take me out of the West Side, dude. But yeah, I see jammin' music. What is up? What is up, dude? And it's really, really good. Can you search by researcher? Yeah, you can search by researcher. Absolutely, absolutely. So the researchers who were involved in some of these cases are in the tags. They're in the tags. And so I'm incorporating the tags into the search events or the search fields very soon. So what you'll be able to do is you can search for something like Hal Puthoff, Kit Green, Jacques Vallée, Project Blue Book. You can search for all of this stuff. All of this. Let's see. FYI, on the early access form, the Patreon link is broken. Goes to Tupa instead of UFO Timeline. Interesting. Because I renamed my. Okay, that's wild. But thank you, Meta, for the tip. I'll get over there and I'll try to fix that. ASAP. I will say this: early access is happening very slowly. Okay, it's happening very slowly, and that's just the nature of the beast, right? We're getting people on slowly. We're getting as much feedback as possible. We're doing our best to incorporate that in the code, and then we're moving forward. And that's that. But we will fix that form. Again, I mean, we're only 1 day away from September. September is tomorrow, September 1st. And I'm hoping to launch this within the month of September for the open public. And it will be free for people to access and use. That's that. So thank you. Much appreciated to everybody. You guys are awesome. And I'm glad if you are an early tester and you found this helpful, thank God. If you're gonna use this when you get the site, very cool. And if you're a supporter of mine online or privately, I hope this is a cool window into this project I've been talking so much about over the last month. Until next time, folks, take care and enjoy the UFO timeline. Thanks, guys.